Good morning, everybody. David Atkins, targeted individual, back with another video. Today I'm going to talk about harassment techniques used against targeted individuals. And very interesting subject today, so I encourage y'all to listen. First, I'm going to go, like I always do, a word of encouragement. If you're not a believer, and I respect your beliefs on anything you believe and however you believe. I'm not in here to impose my beliefs, but for my people who watch who are believers, I'm going to give them a word of encouragement. And just remember, if you're not a believer, you can still learn stuff from this video, as well as, I don't judge you. I'll sit right next to you and treat you the same way as I would another believer. So I just want y'all to get the idea that I'm not that type of person who's religious and judgmental and think I'm better than anybody. Anyway, all right, I'm going to start with Hebrews 12, just 1 and 2. It's one of my favorite ones. Therefore, we also, since we are surrounded by so great a cloud of witnesses, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and let us run with endurance the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and has sat down at the right hand of the throne of God. Ain't that great that we have somebody who sits on the right hand of the throne of God? And, my favorite part in this is we're surrounded by a great cloud of witnesses. Let us lay aside every weight and the sin which so easily ensnares us, and run with endurance the race that is set before us. A cloud of witnesses. We have angels watching and cheering us on. They see we're going through this pain. They see we're being tortured, hated by people for no reason, names smeared in the ground, followed, get hit with weapons, B2K. They see it, but they're cheering us on to endure to the end. And I believe that we got something good in the end. Also, I was watching the Word this morning. Remember, you're not fighting against the devil. You're fighting against your mind. The devil's done been defeated. He's under God's feet right now. However, if your mind focuses on the defeat and the devil, see, that's where it starts, is your mind. So train your mind to be good and set in this Word of God. Because the more you read, faith comes by hearing, hearing by the Word of God. The more you read this, the more you build your spirit man up. Anyway, it's a quick word. So now I'm going to go into the video. And it's about harassment and harassment techniques and stuff they use. Surveillance. Everybody knows about surveillance. Being followed, electronic surveillance, computer and phone hacking, monitoring all online activities, and bugging of home. Then profiles are built to identify any and all weaknesses and insecurities to be used later. Information often obtained through sexual partners or trusted people in their lives. Conditioning, I really think that's why they sent my wife to me, because she filled me out. She knows everything about me now. My weaknesses, my superstitions, my fears, what sets me off, what bothers me, and they report back to the people that's doing this to us, and so they know how every little tick we got. Conditioning, where victims are sensitized to certain stimuli, such as everywhere you go, someone will cough as they walk past you. The goal is to make you self-police and think that anyone who coughs is involved in harassment. People report of conditioning to include hand gestures and overuse of color in people's clothing, like everyone you see wearing red, or cars a certain color, or with headlights, also known as brighting. Anchoring, where someone will provide false rationales for harassment. Often, many rationales are planted to keep the victim confused and focused on the harassment cycles from one possible reason to another, round and around, as to keep the victim guessing in a self-perpetuating guessing game, wherever scenario you are to blame, and causes self-doubt, fear, intimidation, and ultimately a cycle of destructive thoughts. Mobbing, or true gang stalking, where you go, you will see an overt display of people following you and often using words you have been conditioned to, or your name to draw attention. Street theater, where a group will perform an overt activity like fake confrontation scenarios designed to test your reactions. Often takes the form of a couple who position themselves near you and then have a conversation using many of your conditioned words or pertaining to your particular situation or sensitivities. 7. The use of directional speakers, which have the ability to direct sound to a single individual in a crowded room. This particular item is ultimately the most used and often referred to V2K or voice to skull, and is extensively in the psychological breakdown of the victim. The use is initially to cause the victim to doubt their sanity and drive them into the mental health system, and later to just torment them and never give the victim any moment of privacy or peace. If they do enter the mental health system, then the harassment escalates dramatically, as the victim has now been discredited and can be labeled as someone with a mental problem if they do not speak about harassment. If they do speak out about the harassment. The use of electronics to affect your eyesight and balance, which was originally developed for the military and police crowd control, called dazing, and even the ability to make you vomited. Sound campaigns, which is a community harassment technique where abnormal levels of sound are directed at the victims in their homes. This includes cars deliberately braking or accelerating when they pass, people talking extensively, loudly at all hours of the night, amplification of sound using directional speakers so that external sound previously couldn't be heard, garbage trucks and other vehicles, countless other deliberate tactics. Sleep deprivation. This is perhaps one of the most insidious tactics used, where victims are woken up multiple times a night and can be awakened for days at a time. The effects are dramatic and completely debilitating, affecting concentration, mood, irritability, appearance, and significantly impacts all areas of their life. Job performance, relationship, and significantly aids in discrediting the victim, as they appear unorganized, disheveled, and sleeping patterns alter so they may sleep during the day, where noise campaigns are more effective, and be awake at night. Baiting or entrapment, where victims are harassed to the point that they lash out and commit a crime such as assault, break and enter, or vandalism. Or as they try and locate the source of harassment, harassers will actively try to provoke verbal and physical confrontations, especially after a period of sleep deprivation. Or they are prompted into an activity which can then be used as leverage, such affairs as sexuality, drug use, or other criminal activity. Gaslighting is a form of psychological abuse where someone will actively try to undermine victims and make them doubt themselves so that they lose all self-confidence and self-esteem and are therefore easier to manipulate and push towards the mental health pathway. It can be as simple as being told something which they deny, then telling them how silly they are for thinking they said that, and turn the lie around into an attack on the person. It can be incredibly effective, coming from a trusted person and before a victim understands what is happening to them. Black bag jobs is a term where the harasser breaks into a victim's property and places something or deliberately moves something. The purpose is to cause self-doubt and fear that their property is being accessed, which harassers try to then sell as paranoia. Propaganda and disinformation is also the other key element to suppress knowledge of this practice, as it effectively initially requires the victim to be unaware of the existence of gang stalking, gaslighting, or the electronic technologies such as directional speakers. So huge amounts of time are devoted online to creating disinformation sites which attempt to discredit victims by pushing the mental health agenda. They achieve this by posing as victims and actively try to sound crazy so that all victims are created as such. Also by creating websites claiming to help victims and being a resource for victims to come together, and then harassing them to the extent that they lose hope and no longer reach out for help, causing further isolation. Further to the above, gang stalkers rely on disbelief and discrediting, and as such, much of the harassment is designed, at least initially, to mimic mental health issues. They also rely on their abuse being so extreme, so persuasive, and fundamentally immoral as to be disbelieved, and victims subsequently resort to photographing, videotaping, and sound recording their everyday encounters to disprove countless unfounded claims made against them, especially in the relation to gang stalking, which gang stalkers try to turn around and paint the victims as paranoid or irrational. Victims are made to feel helpless at every attempt to defend themselves is used against them, and when they seek help, they're met with disbelief or open hostility. I've had some people contact me in the last few days. This is some example of some smear campaigns they'll do. They created this campaign on this person I know, and they got people believing that this person abused her disabled son. Do I believe it? No, I don't. I don't believe she did it at all. And because it's lies. That's what they do. They make up fake profiles and ruin your name and smear your name in the ground so bad that people participate in this to try to get you out of society. They want you to be out of, they try to make your names, oh man, he's a bad person, she's a bad person. They need to be removed from society. Yeah, I'll participate in this torture, and that's why they're participating. But anyway, that's all I got for today. God bless y'all. Y'all keep y'all's heads up. And the request I got for the different videos, I'm working on them. I wrote them down yesterday, and they'll be coming your way soon. Have a good day, and God bless you.